Greetings and welcome to 401k Real Chat. My name is Fred Barstein, contributing editor at Wealth Management and CEO at Trout, TPSU, and 401k TV. Today we are speaking with Jamie Greenleaf, co-founder of Fiduciary In A Box and former principal at Greenleaf, a leading retirement plan advisor. Welcome, Jamie.
Thanks for having me. Excited to
Thank
have the
you.
conversation.
So Jamie, RPAs, retirement plan advisors, and plan sponsors are really hearing a lot about the convergence of wealth and retirement at the workplace, but not so much benefits. What does convergence of wealth and benefits actually look like?
So if you think about it, ERISA, which was formed back in 1974, has always covered retirement plans as well as health and welfare plans. But we haven't really seen ERISA kind of get into the health and welfare area for a number of reasons. In the past, employers paid 100% of employees' medical benefits. And now, because of the expense, they're having to share that cost with their employees. And therefore, ERISA now is coming in and saying, hey, you have to be prudent with your employee dollars. And then we've had some new regulations that came to fruition in 2020 by President Trump then, that are really having an impact on the transparency in the healthcare space. And so, where I see the convergence is really more of a fiduciary conversation as opposed to the individual benefits that we think about.
Right. And ERISA is Employee Retirement Income Securities Act of 1974. We always find
Yes.
our ERISA geeks for using acronyms without defining it, but give you a pass there.
Thank
So,
you. I figured most of your plan sponsors are familiar with that, but you're right.
yeah. Um, why should retirement plan advisors and plan sponsors be paying attention to this? How is it affecting their lives on this?
Great. Well, where to begin? That's a good question. But let's talk about the employers. Recently, we've seen some class action lawsuits against employers. We also have President Trump doing executive orders around the enforcement of the pieces of regulation that he put into effect back in 2021. We have some whistleblowers that are reporting bad behavior in the marketplace around TPAs and brokers. And we've just recently seen actually a very landmark ruling against Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan. And it's really saying to employers, hey, you need to have a prudent fiduciary documented process in place. So that's why employers need to be paying attention. For the retirement plan advisors, who knows this space better than those of us that have done it our full working career? We are experts in the fiduciary process. So having that expertise behind us is going to be extremely important to employers moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, the big wave of retirement plan advisors started with the fiduciary advisors acting as a fiduciary and co-fiduciary on that. So, a big change on the benefits. So, I know you transitioned from being, you and your mom and, leading, she was like the first woman retirement plan advisor in the industry, great advisor, as well as you. But you
Thank you.
transitioned to this. Why did you and how are you addressing the opportunities and challenges here?
Well, again, as I said, I think who better than to sit on the same side of the table as the employer during these healthcare conversations than somebody that understands fiduciary process. And that's really why we built Fiduciary in a Box to really guide employers through a fiduciary process on their healthcare plan. And just like we were able to improve benefits on the retirement side by taking a fiduciary lens to that benefit spend, we can do the same thing on the healthcare side. And I think for employers, there's a lot of people sitting at the table, but having somebody that's unbiased and conflict free sitting on the same side of the table is very important. That said, this has to be a collaborative effort. You have to have a proactive employer. you have to have that fiduciary process in place, and then you have to have expertise from people like your benefit brokers and TPAs. But it's a collaborative effort. And the reason that I transitioned to that is because I felt that I could have more meaningful impact on my employers by helping them through this process.
Are you seeing your traditional healthcare TPAs, third-party administrators, and brokers being taking on that fiduciary responsibility, do a co-fiduciary because they haven't really in the past, right?
Absolutely not. There aren't really any vendors out there at this moment that are truly taking on that co-fiduciary status like they do on the retirement side. That does not mean that a retirement advisor cannot help and coach an employer through that fiduciary process, and oversee that process. It's just at this time, until we see how the courts weigh in, most are not comfortable taking on that fiduciary status.
So a lot of our PAs, and I know your former firm, One Digital, they're owned by a benefits firm. So those advisors might have more exposure, understanding, and certainly collaboration on that. What about an advisor who doesn't really have that much experience in benefits or not owned, or even those that are owned by a benefits firm like One Digital or Hub or Marsh Mac, but don't really understand and how should they get involved and how do they get involved?
Again, I think the expertise of somebody that understands the fiduciary process is
Yeah.
extremely important. They don't need to understand the healthcare industry to understand how to ask the right questions. How are you getting paid? Who's paying you? Is that considered reasonable? Have you formed a fiduciary committee? Are you taking minutes? Where are the conflicts within your contracts? All the things we're used to asking on the retirement side, it's just applied onto the healthcare side. That's why it's a collaborative effort because you're going to need the expertise of some of those benefit brokers and those third-party administrators and pharmacy benefit managers. But what we really bring to the table is that fiduciary process and asking the questions that nobody else was.
So fiduciary in a box guides that advisor that may not know the healthcare and all the questions they should be asking in the process and the documents. That's what your software and service offers.
Correct. So if you can't spell fiduciary, that's okay. The system is going to walk you through exactly what you need to do to adhere and establish and document your fiduciary process. If you can spell fiduciary but don't, or understand the fiduciary language but don't understand the healthcare benefits, that's okay too, because the system is going to tell you exactly what questions you need to ask in the lingo that a healthcare benefit consultant would understand. So think of it as almost like TurboTax for healthcare benefits is what most of our employers and others have said it's like.
And your website is what?
Fiduciaryinabox.com.
So that's all the time we have today. I've been speaking with Jamie Greenleaf, who is the co-founder of Fiduciary in a Box. Thanks for your time today, Jamie.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for watching 401k Real Chat.